Season 4 Hershey's Cup Series chase for the championship takes a bit of a right-hand turn here today as we get ready for our 4th road course race of the season, the only road course that is in the chase for the championship this year. Welcome everybody here to Lime Rock Raceway, maybe one of my most favorite road courses that we ever come to, and that's why it's got itself a very important position in the schedule in the chase for the championship. We're getting set here for what will be chase race number 5, so we are now at the midway point of the chase for the championship here. This is the second race of the second round of the championship hunt. This will set us up for basically what the scenario will be of who's going to be eliminated and who's going to move into the Elite 8 next week at the Super Speedway of Zen Joltis. 35 laps of racing here today. No cautions will be on. We'll have local yellows where officials and flagmen will keep the field aware of issues that might be happening in certain portions of the racetrack, but we will not be under a full course yellow. So basically, you got to gain whatever track position you can gain under green flag conditions. Also, with it being 35 laps, there is the possibility that pit strategy could come into the outcome of today's race. Levi McIntire lines up on the pole here today. Alongside of him is K Batson. These two both still looking for their first wins of the season. You're probably wondering, why is Levi McIntire on the outside row? It looks here he would be on the outside going into turn 1. It's because the outside line actually gets a much better run into the entrance of the first corner than the inside line. So that's theoretically the pole position here at Lime Rock. We're going to fill you in on your chase scenarios in just a minute, but for now we're going down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
There's the command to fire them up. Your point stands coming into this race of the 12 drivers still remaining in the hunt for the championship are as follows. S Gallighan is now the points leader. He shot all the way up 8 positions in the point standings. He now has a 2-point advantage over Benjamin Miles. Anthony McCrury is third in points. He is 5 points back. Charles Sandfer fourth in the standings, 7 points out. Then you got Trent Dunham, D Poteet, J Bryant, and coming in that critical 8th position in points is M Haas in the 78. Behind him, the gap between drivers 9th through 12th and the cut line, you've got J Baskinger. He's 2 points back behind M Haas. Cody Llamas is 10th in the points. He's 8 points back. 10 points back in 11th is J Arndt, and Blaine Keys is 12th in points. He is 11 points back. Of course, J Arndt and Blaine Keys suffering greatly in the point stands after both DNFing in last week's event. Highest starting chaser is going to be J Baskinger. He'll roll off from the 4th position. Last week's winner out at Oswego, Joshua Michaels, there in the 10. He's rolling off from 6th place. A couple of drivers up here that have actually won races here in the last couple of weeks. K Mathews, right there in the 09, our winner from Dodge Motordome, starting up inside the top 5. Emmanuel Hartnett, the 83, winner from the DuQuoin race, who was eliminated from the chase for the championship back at Indianapolis. He's up here in the top 5. Look for his 2nd win of the season. And I actually look back at a very interesting stat. Driver rolling off from the 7th position, K Tsang, has led the most laps here this season, which is rather surprising given the limited number of races that she's run as opposed to everybody else. K Tsang at the top of the leaderboard, leading a total of 104 laps. Behind her would be K Mathews with 94. So K Tsang has led the most laps so far this season. All 3 former winners at this racetrack are in this field. Z Flickinger went to victory lane at Season 1. N Hudson picked up his first career win here in Season 2. And in Season 3 last year, it was J Srigley. That began his first of 2 back-to-back wins when he won at Lime Rock, and the following week at the track we're going to next week, Zen Joltis. Here we go then. Getting ready to turn them loose for 35 laps of racing, 35 car field. Green flag is out at Lime Rock. Well, that outside line is supposed to be the better line going through 1 and 2, but K Batson timed the start perfectly, and he's going to get out to the race lead. Maybe not. Here comes McIntyre back to the inside. There you see what that outside line does, and McIntyre going to try and take the top position back. Since there are no cautions, we will do our best with our NSCRA split cam to keep you adrift of anything that happens, and McIntyre now goes to the race lead in the 99. We're coming up to a portion of the racetrack I love. Watch this. Whoop! Everybody goes up in the air to get some air there off that corner. That is so cool. As you can see right there, not taking that bus stop area. Bus stop sometimes used here at Lime Rock, but sometimes we don't use it, and we're not using it here today. Oh, I heard a wreck. I heard a wreck. Oh, we got a lot of cars off track here in the final corner, and they're spinning still further up. Nathan Hudson's in the wall. I think that might be Dylan Poteet that got involved up ahead there. Z Flickinger in the 74, Chris Dodd in the 88, and Zachary Fitzwater, I think, was also involved in the 76 car. Poteet with front-end damage on the hood of his Dragon Ball Z Chevrolet. Not what he wanted for the start of this race. Don't think any other chasers particularly were involved in whatever that was. Whoa, Brooke Allen getting a little loosey-goosey there through that corner. Saw right there that right-hander they take. Normally they take a bus stop before they get there. Let's see if Poteet's able to continue. There's Chris Dodd in the 88. There's Fitzwater. Hudson, former winner here, as is Flickinger. More importantly for Flickinger, if you look at the top 35 coming into this race, of course we don't really put a whole lot of light on that situation, but we really should with the season drawing to a close of the drivers 30th through 35th in the point standings that are in danger of losing their charters for next season. Now, right now, the drivers that come into those slots are Tim Walsh, L Alvarise, Zach Flickinger, Joseph Srigley, and Caitlin Tsang. McIntyre out in front, though. He has been so close so many times this season of picking up his first win since Season 2 back in Las Vegas, and it seems like every single time he's in position to win it, something always seems to happen. He's been one of the most consistent drivers this season. He looked like he was going to be a shoo-in driver to make it into the chase, but like I said, wins just so important, and they were not able to get one during the regular season. He's about to catch up here. I think that's to Dylan Poteet. I think Dylan Poteet and Nathan Hudson were both on pit road, so Poteet's going to come out, I think, on the tail end of the lead lap, just ahead of the race leader. Hudson is a lap down, and I believe Zach Flickinger also has been to pit road. He's actually on pit road right now. He has also fallen a lap down to the race leader, so not the start to the race that Dylan Poteet was looking for. Three-time winner who came into this race 6th in the point standings, only a mere 3 points ahead of Matt Haas, who was in that cut line 8th in the standings. So not the start to the race that Dylan Poteet was looking for. They have a battle heating up here for second place. K Batson has it. Emmanuel Hartnett wants it. It's Ford, Lincoln, Toyota, Chevy, the top 4. So 4 different manufacturers represented up inside the first 4 slots, and we actually, as this battle is going on for second, we got a battle going on as well for the 4th spot. J Baskinger having a solid run, had a good qualifying spot up inside the top 10, and he's running in that 4th position, but Kyle Mathews all over his back bumper. Mathews trying to pick up his 3rd win of the season. Another chaser back here, that is Matt Haas in the 78, just now working by Joshua Michaels for the 7th position. Charles Sandfer not too far back as well. He's just cracked the top 10 there in the 03 car. Coming into this race, 2 drivers have the tie for most top 10s this season with 11 top 10s. Both of them are running up inside the top 10 right now as Matt Haas got off the course a little bit there. He might have gotten the guardrail. Didn't look any damage on his machine, but there you see he lost a lot of momentum, and here comes Joshua Michaels to try and take that 7th position back. 3 wide. J McCloud sticks it down to the inside. That could be dangerous. Oh boy, that is tight through that corner, and Charles Sandfer getting a good view of it. They settle it back out to 3 wide, but that was close, and J McCloud, who now is just out there trying to race for wins, kills 2 birds with 1 stone and shoots himself from 9th, now up to 7th. And there is Charles Sandfer going back to the point I was going to make. 2 drivers coming into this race with the most top 10s, 11 apiece, and they are running first, and now 8th. Levi McIntyre and Matt Haas with the most top 10s this season. Sandfer trying to reel in that number 78, and that battle for second is really heating up now. Emmanuel Hartnett is on the back bumper of Keith Batson. Ooh, gotta be careful he doesn't turn him. Levi McIntyre loving this. This is all going on more than 3 seconds behind him. Also should point out too that if Levi McIntyre wins this race, this will be the second race of this round that has been won by a non-chaser, because Joshua Michaels went to victory lane last week. And of course, you know, every single round that we have, whoa, look at Emmanuel Hartnett utilizing that little jump there to his advantage, trying to use that to duck to the inside. No luck just yet. Oh, we might get him here. Setting him up beautifully through the final corner, and Emmanuel Hartnett jumps to second. And Levi McIntyre's caught some traffic here with Z Flickinger and D Poteet. But, you know, a win in one round gives you an automatic ticket into the next round of the chase for the championship. And, of course, a win either last week at Oswego or here today at Lime Rock or next week at St. Joltis automatically locks you into the Elite Eight. Well, right now things are looking like the 8 drivers would have to get in via where they are in the point standings if McIntyre closes the deal today and we do not have a chaser win next week. Now you see Dylan Poteet trying to stay ahead of Levi McIntyre. Now the reason that he is doing this, trying to fight as hard as he can, is because he wants to keep ahead of the 99 so that maybe, just maybe, if we end up having green flag pit stops, Dylan Poteet, I don't know what the fuel window is, but Dylan Poteet might risk trying to go the entire rest of the way after coming to pit road earlier on. McIntyre, though, all over the back bumper, that 31, doesn't seem to be all that aggressive, very patiently waiting, because even as he continues to run behind a slower machine, he still is continuing to grow his lead interval between himself and the second place car of Emmanuel Hartnett. Ooh, look at that. Maybe a little contact there, a little shot to the rear end, courtesy of the Scott's Ford Fusion. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Hartnett finds himself in control of second. They're about to catch Z Flickinger, he and Keith Batson. Best battle on track going on just inside the top 5. James McCloud, Kyle Mathews, J Baskinger, M Haas, Caitlin Sang, and Charles Sandfer all in this group. And Mathews will drive it to the inside on James McCloud, a couple of 2-time winners this season, both now non-chase drivers. Mathews just missed out on making the chase. McCloud was eliminated in the first round. This right here is actually a battle for highest running chase driver on track between Haas, Baskinger, and you got Sandfer kind of looming there as well. Back here, there is a former winner at this track that has not encountered problems today. The 2 other former winners, Nathan Hudson and Z Flickinger, are both trapped off the lead lap. So the only other driver that's won at this racetrack that is currently running well is Joseph Srigley. He scored right now in the 11th position. Defending winner of this race, actually. Trent Dunham right behind him there in the 1 car. He's the 4th highest running chaser. There's a driver that's trying to come back from a poor run last week at Oswego. J Arndt finished out of the race at the dirt track, and that put him way behind the 8 ball. Well, right now, having a decent run up inside the top 15, getting hounded there by Tim Walch. Tim Walch coming into this race, the first time this season that he is outside the top 30 in the point stands. And of course, Tim Walch, a former chaser in the Hersheys Cup Series, wants to stay in the top 30, so he has a charter for next season there with Michael Norman Motorsports. So, woo! Little trying to the outside there using that little place where you can get some air off the corner. Not going to work for him though. JT Bryant right there in the 22. Got a lot of chasers here just outside of the top 10. Go back a little further and you find Anthony McCrury and Cody Llamas. McCrury running behind L Alvarise, and he scored in 18th. Cody Llamas in 19th, and his teammate Benjamin Miles right there in 20th. Sean Gallighan back here in 22nd. He's been on a major momentum roll in the last 3 or 4 races, but not having the best of runs here today. Didn't get good starting track position. trying to fight his way up here, at least into the top 20. He's got teammate Cole Baker right behind him. L McIntosh, Dylan Young, two-time winner J Gardner. Jump back here further, that's where you find Blaine Keys, and of course we documented at the top of the program, both John Arndt and Blaine Keys DNFing last week at Oswego. Both needed good runs to kind of counter that, and right now Blaine Keys not having a good run there in the 42 car. Last time by he was scored in the 31st position, and this is not going to help him get up towards the top 8. Whoa! Thought car spun, but that's Fitzwater coming to pit road. Garrett Sydnor is also on the pit lane in the 38. So this could be the start of green flag pit stops. Keep in mind that Zachary Fitzwater, even though he was involved in the only incident we've had today out of that final corner, he did not come to pit road. So this may be the start of green flag pit stops here. And if this is the case, if they can only make it about 13 to 15 laps on fuel, they may have to pit more than once. Maybe Sydnor and Fitzwater pitting a little bit earlier due to the fact that they have damage. And they're trying to repair that damage to get themselves back up to speed, but they are now going to fall off the lead lap to the 99. Mentioned Levi McIntyre not having a win since Las Vegas back in Season 2. That win got him into the chase for the championship. He has not been in a chase since, and obviously, as mentioned, has not been to victory lane since. Dylan Poteet back there is a lap down. You've got to go a long ways back, almost 3.5 seconds before you get to Emmanuel Hartnett. Not really considered a road racer, but he's really showing his stuff here today. Solid run for him in that runner-up position, and he's about to catch Dylan Poteet. And James McCloud, this has probably been the guy that's been the most aggressive here today in picking up positions. McCloud started back just outside of the top 10, and he's already in the first 15 laps of this race worked his way up to the 3rd position. So a great run for that ride out of Tweenix Racing. At least one of the Tweenix Racing drivers having a good run in this one. K Batson started 2nd. He's drifted back to 4th, but still running solidly inside the top 5. And then you've got M Haas in the 78, currently running in that 5th position. Of course, came into this race 8th in points, that cut line, if you will, to move on to the next round of the chase. And this is a good run to get him away from being that cut line driver. J Baskinger right behind him. These drivers came in 8th and 9th in points. They were both lingering right around that cut line, so good runs needed for both of those cars. And pit stops are happening. Levi McIntyre, Emmanuel Hartnett, McCloud, Batson, Haas, the entire top 5 are in. And here comes the top 10. Are anybody going to risk it? Stay out an extra lap here, maybe try and lead a lap? Get some bonus points? Doesn't look like it. I think all the leaders are coming to pit road. This is very interesting because if this is the fuel window, if this is as far as they can go, Chris Dodd there in the 88, he might actually be on the lead lap. Nope, he's just getting his lap back, actually. He had pitted earlier. It's J Gardner who decided to stay out an extra lap. Gardner and K Tellier both staying out an extra lap here on this one. But going back to what I was saying, that if this is as far as they can make it on one tank of fuel, then according to my calculations, they're going to be about 2 to 3 laps short from making it the rest of the way without having to come to pit road again. Very interesting there. J Gardner and K Tellier both staying out. You got to think this is strategy to be able to gain some track position, and we'll probably see the 26 hit pit road this time. Here he comes. So I think he'll actually lead a lap. Well, maybe not. His pit stall is before the start-finish line. Charles Sandfer had a very slow pit stop. He's just now leaving pit road. And Levi McIntyre, I think, led that lap still. Yes, he did. So that strategy didn't work out for J Gardner. He did not get a bonus point for leading the lap. Levi McIntyre cycles back around as the leader. But look at the gap now between himself and Emmanuel Hartnett and James McCloud. It was about 4 seconds. It's now cut down to less than 1.5 second separation. Now, yes, he does have a lap machine in Dylan Poteet between himself and the 83, but that gap has closed up a great deal because of those green flag pit stops. And there you see, just ahead of McIntyre, there is Sandfer. I think something went wrong on that pit stop. I don't know what it was, but Sandfer now is on the tail end of the lead lap, and he's going to be crossing the line all the way back in the 32nd position. So I don't know what happened with Sandfer. Hopefully our NSCRA split cam will be able to tell us, but not good for him. Another driver that's actually dropped back as a result, too, that I just noticed on the grid. Oh, maybe this thing hasn't recycled itself. I saw J Arndt scored way at the back. Oh, there he is. Yeah, problems for the 05. If we can get to him. Well, it might be easier to actually cycle through the field this way and then go back. Yeah, there he is, now leaving pit road. So problems for J Arndt as well. I think he's got damage. He's got rear end damage there on the back of his Zaxby Chevrolet. And now he is off the lead lap. So all of a sudden, as this race continues to progress, chase drivers are starting to fall like flies. Dylan Poteet had early issues. Charles Sandfer and J Arndt now have issues during green flag pit stops. Of course, our camera crew here at the NSCRA going to try and give you all the footage you need to be able to show you what's happened to these chase drivers as this race is progressing on. Emmanuel Hartnett trying to get by Dylan Poteet. And now he'll set his sights on Levi McIntyre. James McCloud right there in third. Don't count that 51 out. And boy, Dylan Poteet, I don't know if Poteet was throwing a block on his teammate or what. That was a very aggressive move by the 31. I think McCloud, that might have scared him. He had to back off a little bit. So now the question is, how much of a problem is Charles Sandfer going to be for Levi McIntyre? Because I believe that Sandfer and Poteet, they would actually be battling for position. I saw another car just on pit road. That might have been the 74 of Flickinger, actually, but we'll just double check. I think he's on pit road because he had come to pit road a couple laps later than everybody. Yep. And the reason he's on pit road so late is because he came to pit road when we had that first wreck, so he was able to make it a couple laps more than everyone else. We're going back to Sandfer. J Arndt battling there with Chris Dodd. That is not for position. Arndt is a lap down in 33rd. Not a good run for him. Sandfer wants to keep ahead of Dylan Poteet because right now, if you look down at the bottom of the results right now, you got Dylan Poteet and J Arndt. They are 31st and 33rd, one lap down. Right now, Charles Sandfer would be the third lowest driver of the chase machines. And so he's wanting to keep as much of a gap as he can between himself, Poteet, and J Arndt. Remember, Sandfer coming into this race was a mere 7 points out of the points lead. He was a total of 16 points ahead of the cut line. So, staying on the lead lap, staying ahead of a couple of chasers could help him out heading to Zen Joltis. But again, tough break there for Charles Sandfer in that 03 car. He doesn't appear to have damage. Although I'm wondering now, obviously you guys have seen on the split cam what happened. If I'm left to speculate, I'm wondering if maybe Sandfer ran into the back of J Arndt coming to pit road, or if the two of them made contact or something, hence why both chase drivers find themselves in the predicaments they're in. Levi McIntyre has been very calm, cool, and collected here today. He has had to deal with drivers on the tail end of the lead lap pretty much this whole race. He had to deal with Z Flickinger, he had to deal with Dylan Poteet, and now he has to deal with Charles Sandfer, but he's showing a tremendous amount of patience, and it's actually working out for his benefit, because not only is he not putting himself in a position where he could take himself out of this victory, but also each time he still is gaining little by little on second place, so it's almost a win-win for him. Instead of forcing the issue, using up your Goodyear rubber, just ride there, wait, and if the opportunity arises, you're able to make the pass, then go ahead and do it. He also could be as well, let's also not forget, as I mentioned, with when they pit back on lap 16, if that's as far as they can go on a tank of fuel, they may have to pit somewhere between laps 32 to 33. While Levi McIntyre might be thinking about using that 3 car for a little bit of draft, let off a little bit more. He might be saving some fuel, trying to make it to the end without having to come to pit road before the checkered flag waves. Charles Sandfer is clearly up to speed. It's not like he's a slow off the pace car that Levi McIntyre is caught behind. And I keep looking up there at that interval to see if anything happens with it whittling down. Emmanuel Hartnett has nobody around him. He's got about 2.5 seconds between himself and James McCloud, so nothing but clean racetrack for Hartnett. He can just try running qualifying laps to run down Levi McIntyre. You see him right there, closing in. Last time by, 2.7 seconds. Does the gap close up at all, or does it gain at all? He closed it down by 0.3. So while McIntyre still has breathing room, he's got to have his crew chief or his spotter keeping him aware of just how quickly that 83 car is closing. Levi McIntyre, no wins this season. Emmanuel Hartnett has a win this year, but now, after being eliminated from the chase for the championship, he's just looking for trips to victory lane. So McIntyre looking for his first win of the year, Hartnett looking for his second. I think you can guess which driver would want it more, since Hartnett not only was a chase driver last season, was a chase driver this season. He's had 2 wins in the last 2 seasons. McIntyre, so far in the last 2 seasons, has had a goose egg in the win column. There's another car on pit road. I think that was Nathan Hudson in the 16, just now making a pit stop. He's off the lead lap, though. As we are going to have 10 to go next time by, so why don't we give you a full field rundown on where your chase drivers are currently situated. Right now, the highest running chase driver is Matt Haas. He is in the 5th position. Jake Baskinger runs in 6th. As they're shuffling a little bit here, I think someone might have come to pit road. Trent Dunham is scored in 12th, JT Bryant in 13th, and I think we do have pit stops going on. So we actually will halt on those full field rundowns as we're waiting here. Apparently the pit stops are taking place now with about 10 laps to go. I think that was Garrett Sydnor that was just on the pit lane. Although, when I think about it, I think Sydnor may be coming to pit, well, nope, there's a lot of drivers on pit road. Brandon Gonzales I saw Fitzwater, Kyle Mathews just completed his service. There's Cody Llamas, Dallas McIntosh, Trent Dunham, Benjamin Miles, Chris Dodd. Jessica Shelton just now hitting pit road. She came in the 4th position. Well, so much for that whole strategy of saving fuel. It's like these drivers are coming to pit road here with about between 8 to 10 laps to go. So when do we see McIntyre in? And keep in mind, it was the green flag pit stops last time around that allowed Emmanuel Hartnett to really close up the gap on Levi McIntyre. He's about 2 seconds back right now. And McIntyre is not coming to pit road this time. Neither is Hartnett. Brooke Allen's on pit road, though, as is Dylan Young, Cole Baker, Blaine Keys, Joseph Srigley. Shelton just now leaving the pit lane. Joshua Michaels is also on pit road. One and a half seconds, the gap this time by between McIntyre and Hartnett. Almost a full half second Hartnett closed up the gap between himself and the 99 that time by. So Hartnett is coming. Kyle Mathews and Jessica Shelton both currently a lap down. They'll get back on the lead lap after McIntyre comes to pit road. Shelton was 4th before those pit stops began. McIntyre will stay out another lap, as will Hartnett. Let's see if the gap is closed up at all this time. There's a car on pit road that might have been the 05 of J Arndt. 2/10, that gap was closed up that time. And I believe that is J Arndt there in the 05. It's hard to get a camera angle to see. Yeps, it is. Here's our handy dandy helicopter view. James McCloud is also on pit road. I believe that is Dylan Poteet in the 31, just at the rear of pit lane. Jake Baskinger, Matt Haas, Caitlin Sang, Leon Alvarise is in. Whoa, Tim Walsh nearly hit the tire barriers coming in. And Sean Gallighan in the 44 is also on pit road. So most of the leaders have hit pit lane with the exception of the top two. So I think we'll see them in pretty shortly. And here comes McIntyre. Sandfer's in as well, and Hartnett will follow McIntyre in. So this is actually the battle right here on pit road for potentially the race lead, maybe even the race win. K Tellier also in the 70 car. Keep in mind she and J Gardner stayed out that extra lap during the first round of the pit stops. Contact right there you just saw between Emmanuel Hartnett and Leon Alvarise. I don't know if that's got a lot of right side damage on that 83 or not. Both pull into their pit stalls just around the same time, and that may make a little bit more extended pit stop for the Toyota Camry team of Emmanuel Hartnett if they do have to repair that right side damage. Charles Sandfer down and away. He's going to get out ahead of Levi McIntyre, and Hartnett and McIntyre will come off pit road together. So Hartnett doesn't lose any ground having to repair damage, and he is right there with the 99 car. Next time by, it will be 6 laps to go. And Hartnett is right there. This could get very interesting in the closing stages of this race. I think Keith Batson cycled around in the 3rd position. So they had a good pit stop, and he's not too far back from these top 2. So maybe we can't eliminate him from the conversation. We'll give you the full field rundown when they cross the line this next time by. It should cycle around to who is running where, and now we know they are good to go on fuel. Yeah, Batson's right there. Wow, that team did a great job on that pit stop to get him back up in the conversation for this win. Top 3 are only separated, it looks like, maybe by less than a second and a half. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, a second and a half. So the full field rundown as they are right now. Levi McIntyre out in front with 6 laps to go. Hartnett right behind him there in 2nd. Batson right there in 3rd. James McCloud's in 4th. Shelton's up in 5th. Kyle Mathews currently in 6th. 7th place, that's your highest running chaser, Matt Haas in 7th. 8th is Caitlin Tsang. 9th, Trent Dunham, and J Baskinger completes the top 10. So you've got 3 chasers running in the top 10 right now. Garrett Sydnor is currently 11th, 12th Joseph Srigley, 13th JT Bryant, 14th Dylan Young, 15th is Sean Gallighan, Benjamin Miles is in 16th, Cole Baker 17th, Tim Walsh 18th, 19th place is Cody Llamas with Joshua Michaels back in 20th, 21st is Brooke Allen, 22nd place is Brandon Gonzales, Blaine Keys 23rd, 24th is Dallas McIntosh. The rest of your top 30 are Zachary Fitzwater, Leon Alvarise, Chris Dodd back on the lead lap in 27th, Johnny Gardner 28th, Anthony McCrury way back in 29th, so not good in the closing stages for him. Charles Sandfer right now the last car on the lead lap, just ahead of race leader Levi McIntyre in 30th. 5 cars are off the lead lap as all 35 cars are still running. Dylan Poteet is 31st, 1 lap down. Also a lap down are K Tellier and J Arndt, and 2 laps down are Z Flickinger and Nathan Hudson. Look at Hartnett. Hartnett trying to do a little jumping crossover move there using that little uphill hoppity area. Oh, and he might have messed up that corner though, loses a little bit of ground to Levi McIntyre. But just like that, a 2.5 separation between the top 3, McIntyre, Hartnett, and Batson. And it was even closer that time, 1.2 seconds separation between the top 3. Now the problem for Batson is he'd have to get by Hartnett and then get by McIntyre. I think his best bet to be in the hunt for this victory is to have Hartnett get up there and race with Levi McIntyre. Then he can close up and try putting his nose in there to make a move. The whole time you gotta wonder how Charles Sandfer, who's up to speed on the tail end lead lap, could play a factor into this. Whoa! Emmanuel Hartnett turning the wheel while in the air. That's not gonna help you. Well, maybe it did help him. Look at this. Look at the run he got. He's trying to get to the inside through the final corner here. Not quite to the right rear quarter panel, but he is all over the back bumper of the 99 with 3 laps to go. Levi McIntyre, this whole race looked like he was home free, but in the closing stages, it's going to come down to a battle between McIntyre, Hartnett, maybe Keith Batson if he can get up here with these two. Here comes Hartnett. Oh, he tried it. He tried it, but he had to lift in order to be able to make the entry into this corner, and that lost him some momentum. He's going to have to rewind and try again. Now about maybe 2 car lengths back, Hartnett was much better through this section of the course than McIntyre the last lap. This time they're about status quo. Hartnett, the one thing that's not on his side is time. 2 laps to go here at Lime Rock. And you see McIntyre, I think McIntyre is trying to get by Charles Sandfer now to put a lap machine between himself and Hartnett to alleviate that pressure. But it's not working. Sandfer's not going to let him by easy. And Hartnett is back on the bumper of the 99 once again. If I were Hartnett, I'd wait. I'd ride through this section because he tried last time to make a move. It didn't help. Yep, that time he rode in the tire tracks of the 99. Over here is where Hartnett is much better. Whoa! Hang on to her, Emmanuel. That may have lost him a little momentum, but he's really good through this downhill section. Let's see if he can get there. Not quite there. He's only going to have one more try because the white flag is displayed for Levi McIntyre. Can he hold on for one more lap? We got some cars coming to pit road. I don't know if we had a wreck or not. Doesn't really matter because we are racing back to the checkers. Hartnett is there. Can he make a move? He might try the old chrome horn. Move McIntyre out of the way. Oh, he's looking, he's right there. Where's he gonna set him up? Oh, he's waiting till the second half of the course, where he's a lot better than McIntyre. Let's see if he can get a good run here with this jump. Oh, McIntyre got a little squirrely. He's trying to get the inside of Sandfer. Sandfer throws the block. McIntyre might run wide off the course a little. Hartnett might drive it deep here into the final turn, but I don't think he's close enough. Levi McIntyre is going to hold off the charge. His first win of the season comes at the road course of Lime Rock. It was just a matter of time, but you kind of got the feeling it was going to happen much earlier on in the season than it did. Levi McIntyre finally snaps his winless streak. If you give me a moment, I could calculate in my head how big a winless streak that is. I believe if my calculations are correct, he just snapped a 80 race winless streak. How about that? Team owner Dylan Young coming up alongside to offer congratulations as Levi McIntyre becomes the second driver out of Young Motorsports to go to victory lane this season, and boy, he earned it there in those closing stages. I thought Emmanuel Hartnett might be able to set him up a couple times in those final corners. Levi McIntyre seemed to have a little bit of difficulty with that portion of the track, but he was able to hang on when it mattered the most. And Levi McIntyre, in dominating fashion here today, though it wasn't easy, gets himself his first win of the season, and I'm pretty sure my calculations are correct. An 80 race winless streak is snapped here today at Lime Rock for that 99 team. Emmanuel Hartnett, though, gave it a really, really good effort. So the standings are official, with McIntyre declared the winner. 2/10 he had over Emmanuel Hartnett coming to the line. Keith Batson, what a great run for him. I mean, this guy, I don't think he fell outside the top 10 all day. He kind of seemed to drift out of the top 5 after starting the outside of the front row, but that pit stop at the end really shot him back up into the conversation as he'll finish third. McCloud, great run there in fourth. I think he might have had one of the fastest cars of the day. He just never got the opportunity to get up there and battle McIntyre for the race lead. M Haas will finish the highest chaser today with a top 5 in fifth. Caitlin Sang brings it home in 6th. Joseph Srigley in 7th. Garrett Sydnor, I think, picked up the most spots today based off of his starting position. He'll finish in the top 10 in 8th, and 2 more chasers join Matt Haas in the finishing results of top 10 today. J Baskinger in 9th, and Sean Gallighan, who came in the points leader of the 12 remaining chasers. He will finish in 10th. Tim Walsh, we talked about him trying to get back into the top 30 in points. That 11th place finish certainly will help him out. Last week's winner Joshua Michaels follows up that victory with a 12th place run today. Cole Baker, Brooke Allen, and L Alvarise. That'll be your top 15. The rest of your chasers, where did they finish? Cody Llamas brings it home in 16th place. Trent Dunham finished back in 22nd. Charles Sandfer was all the way back around the 33rd, 34th position, almost a lap down. Well, he'll bring it home with a solid run of 23rd. So this may actually have helped him out a little bit, staying ahead of that cut line. And a little curious about all these drivers that finished a lap down. Benjamin Miles, 25th. Blaine Keys, 26th. J Bryant in 28th. Those are all chase drivers. Dylan Poteet finishes 29th. He had early issues, never recovered from them. Anthony McCrury, 32nd here today, along with John Arndt in 33rd. So there's about 6 chase drivers down there outside of the top 25 after this race is over, and you gotta wonder if that had something to do with maybe a wreck or something. You guys saw it. If there was a wreck, I was not able to see it. I will see it post-edit, but yeah, that puts us in a very interesting situation heading into next week's race at Zen Joltis. So I think right now, a couple of drivers that might be in very, very good position heading into Zen Joltis would be Sean Gallighan and Matt Haas in particular, because both of them came into today's race running 1st and 8th in the point standings, and they both come away with top 10 runs. J Baskinger also might be in a pretty good stead heading into next week as well, especially with the number of chasers that encountered problems here this afternoon. Anyway, that's going to do it here from Lime Rock for us. Next week, it is going to be the elimination race for the Hersheys Cup Series. Next week will be race number 2 of the second round for the Pizza Hut X Series. Their elimination race doesn't happen until the following week at Talladega, and you'll also get to see your Hersheys Cup Series non-charter drivers go racing for the 23rd time this season. There'll be 3 races left for those drivers in their season. So that is going to do it for us. Thanks all for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's race, be sure to give us a video like, subscribe, become part of the crew to show you full finish results. Up next, it's your rookie points as well as your overall points and your chase points heading into our second elimination race of this chase for the championship at Zen Joltis. We'll see you guys next time as you've been watching Production of the SRA Offline Racing at its best.